Tuesday night live Q&A. Everything's working. I'm so excited. My name is Tracy Matson. I know I'm a minute early. I wanted to get on and make sure everything was working. I'm a certified professional dog trainer and certified behavior consultant, and I live in Utah. And if this is your first time, we're using a new platform because we're having issues with Facebook. So when you get on, just give me your name and where you're from. Um, if you're one of those that's with me every week, just give me your name and I'll probably know where you're from. But this is just going to come up as Facebook user, and there's three different platforms that people can join. So let's see. Let me make sure I have the chat on. Okay, Lonnie. Lonnie, you were here last week, right? When we had the great, I don't know what was up with Facebook, because it had to be Facebook because we're using Restream now and everything's working great. So fingers crossed. Okay. So Lonnie from Canada. I'm also going to do I'm going to draw two names tonight. Just to make up for last week because we didn't get to do one last week just because it kept shutting off. Shireen. Yeah, it's so frustrating. I'm not really tech savvy, so when something doesn't work, I have no idea how to fix it. But we have, Pupford has the Great Devon that can fix anything. And so I reached out to him and I'm like, help, it's been like this the past 3 weeks. So he was able to get Restream running again, which is awesome. Brandy. So I'm going to write down names for a second here because I don't multitask well. Texas. Renee, how are you? I haven't seen you in a while. Okay, Renee, if I remember, Iowa? I want to say Iowa. I can go back. But let me know if I'm right or wrong. If I remember right, I want to say Iowa. I'm almost done with my schooling and I'm now a volunteer at my local shelter. Yes, I was right, Iowa. I am always surprised when I remember stuff because I have CRS, and that means I cannot remember anything. So I am so happy that I remembered that. So just a few housekeeping things. I have a board and train puppy here, plus my dogs, and so you never know what you're going to get when you're here, as far as the dogs chasing the cat and stuff like that. But you get live. This is what it's actually like in the house of a trainer. So Renee, remind me where you're doing your school. And I'm so glad that you're volunteering at your shelter because you will learn so much, and that is for any of you dog owners that want to learn more about behavior or just getting some extra practice in training, like volunteering at a shelter is invaluable as far as just like walking dogs, things like that. Learning body language. It's really good. So I'm happy that you're doing that. Okay, so while we're waiting for a couple of other people to jump on, let me make sure. Oh, Cynthia. I've got to get Cynthia. Oh my goodness, you're from Australia. Holy cow, welcome. So Cynthia, I have been watching a lot of movies that were set in Australia lately. I watched a whole series, like 9 seasons, and I watched that in about 2 weeks, and it was set in Australia, and it was so good, and I am, like, so obsessed with the accent. Like, I wish I had an accent, but it was so cool. Um, okay, so Australia. Let me make sure that I got everybody. Renee, I got Shireen, Randy, I got um oh, let's see. I'm working with new moms and a breeder surrender. Oh, that's awesome. Let's see. Brandy. Okay, I got Brandy. Let's see. Renee, there are 7 puppies from the breeder surrendered. They are scared but are quickly warming up to us. Only had them for 3 days. Got them Saturday night. That's awesome. Um, so why do breeders surrender puppies? Is it were they like accidental breedings? Like my dog got out and the neighbor dog got with him? Or they were they breeding and then couldn't sell them? Um, just wondering why a breeder would surrender their puppies. Now that being said, for those of you that know my Willy Wonka Tonka, oh, they're intentional. So why are the breeders giving them up? I find that really interesting. Um, and he has more. So Willy Wonka Tonka, I'm not going to try to move it and show you a picture because last time I did that, everything stopped working. So I know better. Hey, Nicole and Fiorella. Let's see. Oklahoma. I like doing Restream better because we have like the 30-day the Pupford and YouTube, so we can get more people here. So oh, it's an Amish person. Interesting. We got Michelle. Hi, Michelle. Michelle, let me know where you're from, and I can enter you into the drawing. So Willy Wonka, he was actually a breeder fiasco. So, oh, Massachusetts, awesome. I can't remember back to my high school days how to abbreviate all my states, so I just write them out. Some of them I remember. Oh, Alana. Anyway, so Willie came from a breeder, and they were trying to cross a pit bull with an English bulldog to get a shorter pit bull. They call them shorty bulls, and they sell them for an insanely amount of thousands of dollars. And so when you don't breed responsibly, things can happen, such as breed malfunction, which is what happened to Willie. He was born with hema vertebrae, and basically his spine, like if this is your spine, his looks like it's been broken, like a tent, and then turned. So he was born incontinent, and his back legs didn't move. So they actually took him to the vet, and they were going to euthanize him because they couldn't sell him. And the vet tech happened to say, I know a rescue that will pull him. And then I saw him, started fostering him, and then adopt him. Oh, please tell me they're not breeding a healer and a poodle. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm just going to keep my mouth shut. Okay, let me finish. Okay. Alana, I think honestly, I stay in business because of all of the people breeding poodles with Great Danes, Saint Bernards, Golden Retrievers, Bernese Mountain Dogs. Um, the Heeler and the Poodle is a new one. Um, but let's see. Unfortunately, two pups didn't make it. They were Border Collie pups. It's graphic, so I'm putting it in nice terms. Yes, thank you, because this will show up on the Pupford page. So we want to keep everything like nice and clean. Hi, Kirsten. So yeah, Renee, you'll have to direct message me and let me know the details. Just because I'm involved in rescues and I agree, Brandy. How can it even be legal? Um, I don't get it. I have my opinions, but I will keep my opinions to myself. I would say 90% of the okay, Arkansas. 90% of my board and train puppies are doodles. So they keep me in business. But I've had two clients with doodles that intentionally got them for service dog work, and both dogs, the two that I've been working with as far as trying to get them to be service dogs, I've had to fail because they just don't have the temperament and the confidence to work out in public and be able to handle stressful situations, be able to downstay for an hour, things like that. They're kind of, and I'm making a generalization, like people, and I don't mean to do this on purpose, but when people say like, oh, pit bulls are aggressive, well, that's an unfair generalization. But I will say that most of them that I run into are very, very needy. And so in one way, like that's good that they can be with their owner all the time, but when they're expected to just, lay down and be there but not need interaction, a lot of times they don't. Like they just can't do it, or they get in a situation where there's lots of people or other dogs or lots going on, and it's really hard for them and they just can't do it. So um yes, Renee, please message me the details because I am very curious. um okay, so let me just make sure I got everybody. Michelle, Alana, got Renee, I've got Kirsten from Arkansas. You know, while we're talking about it, I saw a post today about somebody breeding, like purposely breeding wolf hybrids. So this group will be like 40 to 50% wolf mixed with husky, malamute, some shepherd, and I really don't agree with that. And the reason is because they do not make good pets. Like wolf hybrids do not make good pets. I used to hike with a friend. She was a really good friend of mine. Um okay. Yeah. Um and she would try. I mean, we would get up in the morning, and even if it was 11 below, we would go hike our dogs in 11 below zero up a mountain because we live at the base of the mountains. And she even got this wolf as a puppy, like an 8-week old, 7, 8 week old. And she'd had a prior wolf hybrid that was great, like great around other dogs. But this dog, this hybrid, when we would go hike, like she would always run off chasing deer and wildlife. She would attack other dogs. One time she picked up a dead animal and was chewing on it and got a bone stuck, and her owner was trying to get it out, and she growled and snapped at her owner, over a bone, and, it was just, like, it was not good. It was not good at all, and she was even a responsible owner. So, I just don't see, and I guess all of the pups are spoken for, they're not taking applications. And somebody said, "How can you do that? Because, it's hard enough finding people to be responsible dog owners." But, um, yeah, someone was trying to rehome a wolf husky because the dog was more than they could handle. Yeah. My aunt had a wolf hybrid, and my cousin ended up taking him, and she did really well. Yes, that is my email, one of my 3, but yeah, you can email me there. Um, she did well, but my cousin spent a lot of time with her, and, he lived out kind of off the grid, so she had room to run and stuff like that, and, um, she died of old age, but most of it, when you try to take a wild animal and, put it into a home, um, it's just Um, it's just hard. So, Gil, okay, I will get off my soapbox and we will talk. Oh, Giselle, if you win, I will put it in the chat. So you can check, and I think the lives get posted, so you can check the end of the chat, and I will put in the names. Um, so yeah, we can do that. Okay, let's see. Gil Moreno, Texas. And Giselle, where are you from? Wow, we have a Gil Moreno and a Giselle Miranda. Almost for a second I thought it was the same person. Okay. Yeah, and Husky Malamute mix, there's quite a few of those, and but they don't have, they could have wolf in them, but they're not specifically bred to be like a wolf hybrid, I don't think. But let me know in the chat, how has it been having a husky malamute mix? One of my best friends has had malamutes, for the past, God, since I've known her, 10, 15 years. And she's had really good ones. And right now she's got one that they can't take to daycare. They can't let off leash because he would kill another dog and has killed cats. So I think it just depends. And this can kind of be our topic tonight. I was going to talk about integrating a puppy into a home with other dogs. If anybody wants to know about that, I can talk about that after the drawing. But this is more interesting for me to talk about ethology, because I'm kind of a geek that way. But there's a lot that goes into dog behavior or animal behavior. You have genetics. DNA can be passed on. So people with the best intentions might get a puppy at 8 weeks old. They go to puppy class. They do socialization. It's like my friend that had the wolf hybrid. She got it at 8 weeks old, socialized it around other dogs, around other people, did everything responsibly right. But that but her hybrid was still, had a very high prey drive, would be gone for a week at a time, hunting, would always try, and like, she was good with my dogs, but she met my dogs when she was a puppy and kind of grew up with them. But then when she got older, any dog that she didn't know, she would go after. So, and her owner was this little petite 90-pound lady that could hardly, I mean, couldn't hold her back sometimes. Would have to sit on the ground and wrap the leash around her body to try and hold the hybrid back. Um so yeah, it can be hard because you've got, genetics in there and a lot of, different things. So, um okay, let me go back and okay, Gil, I have a mini Aussie and I've been having trouble with his recall. He will be turning 1 next week. Will he still be able to learn recall? Absolutely. Um, so most my dogs are all rescues. I got Maddie at 5. Um, most of my dogs are between 2 and 5 when I rescue them. And so yes, you can absolutely still teach a recall. The trick with recall is you have to be more exciting than your dog's environment. And I also kind of have um, some steps that I go through. So I start always on leash. And kind of my rule is if I'm not 100% sure that the dog is going to come, I don't say, Rover, come. Because if I say it and they're off sniffing and exploring and doing their own thing, they're basically getting reinforced for ignoring you because they're ignoring you, but they're doing something fun. Um, and so anytime that we can't reinforce that and reward them for coming, they kind of self reward for doing their own thing, if that makes sense. So if my dogs are off leash, depending on where we are, if we're up in the Uintas hiking, I'm gonna whistle. I'll whistle with my fingers, or I'll say, "Let's go! Come on, we're going." Um, and sometimes I have to say it a couple of times, but I reserve my my verbal cue for, like, if I see them running down the trail and they're coming towards me, then I'll say, "Oh, good, come, good job," and I'll make it super fun and rewarding. When we're hiking, sometimes, like, I also, because I know I'm competing with squirrels, dead animals, deer poop, stuff like that, I carry bacon or hot dogs or something really high value. And every time my dogs come back to check in, I will give them a high value treat and tell them to go play. So in their mind, they come back, they get something really good, and then they get to go sniff again. So we kind of play that game, but I will start on a 6-foot leash and then I'll go to like a 15 and a 20. And then I might have them drag a leash so that if I say, like, Rover, come, and they don't, then I can pick up the leash and reel them in and say, come on, let's go, let's go, let's go, and make it super fun. And I use my high pitched voice, but then I can reinforce that recall and have them come in, and then reward them and then send them on their way again. So after they're pretty good at dragging a leash, then I like to practice in an enclosed, fenced, like a yard, a fenced-in tennis court. A good place to practice, if you can find it, is a dog park that's fenced in when there's no dogs in it, because you're going to have all the distractions of all the other smells, but they so they're going to be distracted, but it's going to be fenced in. So I would maybe start with having your dog drag a long line, and then every time they come in, give them that piece of hot dog and then send them on their way. And I'll tell you what I've been using lately is the Pupford shrimp, the new shrimp treats, because they are smelly. The dogs love them, and so they know that they're going to come in, get a super high value treat, and then they get to go sniff again. So the other issue, Gil, is that your dog's a teenager. So the doodle that's laying on the floor right here by me is 7 months old. And when he's outside playing, he does not listen to me for anything. So when he's outside playing, um, I don't use COME because I know he's not going to do it. If he's playing, I could yell hot dogs or whatever. He is not going to do it. Um, so I will like if I'm specifically going to practice, I will put him on a leash and go out and practice in the yard with my dogs as distractions. But that way, I can reel him in, give him a treat, and then say, "Okay, go play," and then I'll release him to go play. Um, so that's kind of what I do. So you kind of have to remember that at one, you have a teenage adolescent. So if you can remember back to when you were, well, I don't know how old you are, but if you can remember back to when you were a teenage adolescent, like I didn't want to listen to my parents. I thought I knew everything. And sometimes I would tune my parents out. And dogs are the same way. If they're playing or having fun, and they start to kind of test the boundaries and maybe venture out a little bit farther. Um, and so they just don't listen as well. So you kind of have to think about that too. But yes, at one, you can definitely teach a recall. Um, oh, my doodle's dreaming. Not my doodle, the dog that's here. So Gil, if you want to email me at Tracy at Pupford.com, I will send you my recall handout. Um, and I would be happy to just say, please send me your recall handout, and I will send that to you. And it kind of goes through all the steps that I go through. So, okay. Yes, Gil, go ahead and ask another question. I'm going to go back up, and I kind of do these in order. I'll do one drawing at 7, and then maybe if we're still going, I'll do another one at 7:30. Um, let's see. Okay. Oh, let's see. I figured this out by he escaped the front door and bolted. He wouldn't come. Yes. The other thing is dogs love the chase game. So the more you run after them, the more they're going to keep running away. So a couple things I do is so I had another doodle that just went home yesterday, and when I would go out in the yard, she wanted to play the chase game. She was not going to come to me for anything. And so I just turned around and left her and went back in the house. And I thought, well, when you get hungry, you're going to want to eat and you're going to come in. Um, and she did. One thing that I do is at the door, I teach a sit and a wait. So it's like wait before I say, okay, let's go. Or if I'm going out to get the mail or something and the dogs aren't going, I'll use stay. But then I'll give them a reward, like for coming, when I come back, for them, staying and not bolting out. So I have like door manners kind of that I teach so that they don't bolt out the door. And when I do recall, I reward like right on my thigh. So I have the treat, but I want the dog to come all the way up to my thigh to get the treat. So they learn that they've got to come all the way up to me. Otherwise, dogs some dogs will be just far enough out of reach so that when you go to grab them, they take off again. Because to them, it's a game. So one time I had a dog that hated riding in the car. I don't know why. I got her at like 6 months. She was one of my exceptions where I usually don't take puppies, but I did. Oh, Giselle. Okay, Texas. Oh, you guys are both from Texas. So as soon as we came over the hill and she saw the car, she turned around and bolted. And I could not get her to come back. So I actually got down on the ground digging with my hands, digging in the dirt. I'm like, oh my gosh, look at this. Look what I found. Oh, this is so cool. And she eventually came up to see what I was digging. And I slowly like put my arm around her and clipped on a leash. Then anytime we went hiking, before we got back, before we saw the car, I would put a leash on her before she could see the car and bolt the other way. I just learned that yeah, if she sees the car, she's gone. But you can do that too. You can walk away. Some dogs are like with Jade, she doesn't have a, let me silence my phone. She doesn't have a wonderful recall. So if I say, I'm leaving you, and I turn and go the other way, she will come because she has just enough separation anxiety that she doesn't want me to leave her. But she's my dog that loves to go sniff and explore. So, um, yeah. So next time, um, get down on the ground and pretend like you found like the best treasure ever. Turn around and just kind of walk away and see if your dog comes back and follows you. Um, and then practice some like wait and stays at the door. But yeah, I mean sometimes you just can't help, when dogs bolt, especially when they're only one. So yeah, hopefully that helps. Nicole, when I got Moose, they told me he was part wolf. I ran a DNA test and he wasn't. Um, yes, and I agree. They think it's cool. Um, let's see, Alana. I have an 11. Oh, let's do a drawing, and then I'll answer some more questions. So, okay, I gotta put all these in a bowl. Mix them up. I used to have Jade draw, but when I've got 4 dogs here, they think it's treats, and then they get growly with each other. Okay. First winner is Brandy Collins. Collins McMillan from Texas. So first winner, I'm going to put this in the chat. The other thing is, if you win, you are going to email hello@pupford.com and let them know that you're the winner. And tonight, I will give away, oh, I know what. I'll give away a bag of the shrimp treats. And yes, I saw somebody said they're very stinky. Don't put them in your pocket. I totally agree. They smell, they're stronger than the salmon treats. The shrimp ones are actually stronger than the salmon ones. So, okay, so and Brandy, if there's a flavor that you would rather have other than shrimp, just tell them that you want a different flavor. That's totally fine. Okay, I'll answer some more and then we'll do another drawing. Let's see. Let me go back. Let's see. Okay. Atlanta. I have an 11-week-old Boston Terrier. That's what Jade's mixed with. My little pit bull, my little pocket pitty is mixed with Boston. He's too young to leave the backyard, so we haven't started on the leash yet. Will he be too old in 4 weeks? No. Now, having said that, and let me look and see. Okay, so you're from Georgia, and I don't know. So here's kind of the thing. It depends on where you live. A veterinarian is going to tell you don't take your dog out until they're 16 weeks and have all of their shots. Trainers and behavior consultants are going to tell you don't wait for 16 weeks to take your dog out because then the critical socialization period has ended. So the most important time for socialization is between like 10 and 16 weeks. And so you really want to, now if you're just talking about leash walking, that's totally fine to wait. I mean, you can teach a dog of any age how to walk on a leash. But I wouldn't wait to socialize until 16 weeks. I would do it now. For one thing, your dog is in that like critical socialization period where you want to socialize, um, but also a fear period. So, which means you want to make sure that every interaction is positive. So, this is when I would start to socialize to sounds like thunder, fireworks, vacuums. Um, have your dog meet people, and even just to be really careful with things like parvo or others that I know back east there's more of an issue with like fleas and mosquitoes and um, other things like that. But you can actually hold your dog and go out and give your dog treats when they look at another dog or look at a person or go to a park and let your dog see kids playing. So as long as they see it and have a positive association with it, that's good. So you don't have to like put your dog down and have them walk. Um, so when I do my puppy classes, I do I I only require the first set of shots. And I've never had a dog get sick in class. Um, but that socialization is so important that we still do basics like sit, stay, stuff like that. But we do a lot of body handling, sound, surfaces, playing with other puppies in a very controlled way. I don't just do like a free for all play. Um, so that being said, yeah, if you don't really have to start on the leash walks yet. Um, but I would start socializing now, even if you're just like really careful with it. But yes, after 4 months, you can totally. I mean, I do adult classes where dogs are over a year old that have not had any leash skills, and a lot of dogs that come from rescues have had no leash skills, and so you can totally teach that at any age. Um, Brandy, yes, please send me pics. I would love to see it. I am at Tracy with an I at Pupford.com. Um, yes, and again, it depends on the breed. Some dogs are going to be. You always want to look at when we talk about ethology. You always want to look at like what was the dog originally bred to do. So with like herding breeds, we can't really get mad at them for wanting to herd all this, um, because that's what they were bred to do. And if they don't have a job and they don't have sheep or cattle or whatever to herd, they're going to herd your company or your grandkids or something like that. So we always want to try to find an outlet, such as a flirt pole or, scent work or, something where the dog can fulfill that need to do what they were genetically bred to do. Does that make sense? Um, so yeah, we always want to look at what they were, so if they're hunters, like my dogs dig in the yard. But pit bulls were originally bred for varmint control. So they love to dig for voles and, gophers and things like that. And so there is a spot in the yard that I allow them to dig so that they can dig because that's what they do. Um, and I thought that maybe they would keep the mouse population down, but turns out my dogs are afraid of mice. So go figure. Um, oh, Giselle, yeah. I had German Shepherds before and thought I would always have them. And then I got my first pit bull. Well, my neighbors came home with a pit bull and I fell in love with it. And so I've had pit bulls ever since. Um, but yeah, they are small. And Jade is a pit bull Boston mix. But I have, my pit mixes range from 40 pounds to 70 pounds. So, um, yeah, I agree. Huskies are hyper and they require a lot of attention. Yes. Um, Oh, so Lonnie, yeah, at 7 months old, if your dog starts barking, and yeah, it's that can be, they start to dogs start to enter their teenage adolescent stage at about 6 months. Um, so if your dog barks at somebody, you know, for one thing, we don't want to correct them. Like we don't want to get mad at them because they are just communicating. Either like, oh, there's a person I want to say hi, or oh, that person's scary, move away. Um, so I just stay calm and I'm just like, oh, it's just a guy with a baseball hat. It's no big deal. And you can even like have them look at the person, give them a treat. Or if you're in a pet store, chances are people might even toss treats to your dog. Um, just so the dog makes that association, like stranger equals treat. If they don't want to do that, then you can give them treats for just like looking. Um, so yeah, it could be an age thing. It could also be um, a social, like depending on if your dog had never seen, let's say, a guy with a big beard and sunglasses. Then you go in a store and there's a guy with a beard and sunglasses, and your dog is like, "Whoa, what is that? I have never seen that before." That could cause them to bark. So yeah, it totally. So today I was working with a girl and her service dog, and this older couple came in, kind of bent over, shuffling, and they both had like a cane, and the dog kind of did a little woof, woof. And I said, it's probably the cane or that they walk different. So we just did a little bit of socialization with the dog, and then she was fine after that. Um, so Kirsten, I have a Chihuahua Shiba mix. Um, my one of the veterinarians I used to work for, she breeds Shibas, and so I have been around her dogs, but I don't know as much about their personalities. I could look it up. Um, but whenever you're trying to like figure out like different personalities, like if I'm going to go work with a dog or with a client that has a dog that I haven't really worked with a lot, like a breed that I haven't worked with a lot, I will always look up and see what that dog was originally bred for. Were they guarding dogs? Um, are they hunting dogs? Are they herding dogs? There are some that are just like lap dogs. So I always kind of look up and see what they were originally bred for. And then I kind of go from there. Hello, Julie. Yeah, this has been my new day for a while. I had something come up on Wednesday, so now I'm doing Tuesdays, and usually at 6. But I had an appointment today, so I had to do 6:30. Let me put you down. Giselle, let's see. My French bulldog is crazy when it comes to house guests. He will go crazy and starts barking. We keep him in his crate when we get visitors just because he will jump and slobber. Um, yes. So what I do with client dogs is when somebody knocks on the door or rings the doorbell, I will excitedly run the dog into another room where they can't even see the guests. So, kind of like the recall, I'll say, "Oh, let's go. We're going to get yummy treats." And I'll go into another room and have them toss treats in there and scatter feed. So, and then you can just say, "Go hunt." And that means um I'm going to close the door. You get to hunt for hot dogs or treats or whatever, and I'm going to go answer the door. Then, if it's somebody that your dogs don't need to meet, then you just let them out when the person leaves. Like if you're signing for something or the neighbor's dropping something off, whatever. If it's company, then you can have them come in and sit down and then bring your dog out. I like to bring them out on leash. And I tell people um, if my dog jumps, ignore them. Turn your back, ignore them, and only give them attention. Now, at the same time, I might be saying off, sit, because I like to teach dogs, like, if you want attention, then sit or stand. As long as you have 4 feet on the floor, then guests can say hi, they can give treats, things like that. If the dog tries to jump, I turn my back, ignore. So then you can put your dog in a sit, or you can ask guests, like, turn your back, but then ask the dog to sit. And if the dog's sitting, then you can say hi to him and give him treats. Um, so basically, jumping and slobber, well, they can't help but slobber, but jumping means they're not going to get any attention. Sitting or standing means they are going to get attention. Um, and the important thing is that everybody has to be on the same page. One of the reasons that my dog barks so much, um, is that I have people that say, "Oh, it's okay. She's little and she has such, look at those big ears, and I don't mind." And I'm like, "But I mind. Like, you might not mind if she jumps, but what if my 70-pound dog jumped on you?" So even if one person reinforces it, then to the dog it's like playing slot machines. It's like, sometimes I win, so I'm going to keep trying. Um, so everybody kind of has to be on the same page. So that's what I would do. Nicole, I did a kick sled workshop. We didn't get enough snow for that, but I want to do some scooter joring with them. Um, yes, I have a friend that's doing some. She's got a husky, and then she adopted another dog, and she's doing some like dog sled stuff, which looks really cool. Renee, you really do need to get Pupford treats. You know what? That's all I use. Like, honestly, I don't have to use them, but I do. And these are the sweet potato ones, but I have a whole case of them in my car because I use them at clients for classes, my dogs, and it's honestly the best. The thing I like is they're the perfect size. I went to work with a client with on recall, and she had like hot dogs this big. Like, they just chopped them like this. I'm like, okay, you need to quarter those. Like, I want them in quarters and little, like small, just enough for the dog to like not take long to eat them, but just eat it quick and want to work for more. So I like them that they're the perfect size. Um, and also they're only 1 calorie. So that's a big plus too. And Alana, I have to admit, I don't like touching them either because of the smell. But I do because dogs love them. So I touch them. Okay, let's see. Cynthia, my 3-year-old German Hair Pointer, she is resource guarding me when we are home and visitors come. Seems like she's anxious, but to others may appear aggressive. Also, sometimes when strangers approach her on lead out and about, can jump and bark. Yeah, so it would be easier if I had a video to look at so that I can look at the whole body language. Because when you say, like, it appears that she's anxious, or it may appear aggressive, but I think she's anxious, most reactivity is fear-based, which could be, afraid or anxious. And when a dog is on a leash, we kind of restrict them and we take away their flight options. So if a dog is uncomfortable or feels threatened, they're going to go either into fight, flight, or freeze. And if we have them on a leash, we take away the flight option. And so then they're either going to freeze or they could react and try to bark and act aggressive to make somebody move away if they're afraid. So yeah, if it's a really fear-based, sometimes medication can help, but not by itself. You will always want to do medication with, behavior modification. So working on that. If visitors come for right now, I would just put your dog in another room with something really yummy to chew on, just so she can't practice that behavior. But then once everybody is seated, visitors come, you have them sit. You can bring your dog out on a leash, and then put your dog in like a downstay at your feet or something like that. Um, but and there are certain protocols that you can go through. It's a little bit more involved than what I can explain here. But for dogs that resource guard, we basically start at a distance and teach them just to like notice a stranger, not react, and then I click and treat. Um, and so it's like when they're strangers, good things happen, and good things happen when they approach. But you have to like really look at distances and know when to increase distance, know when it's safe to decrease distance. Does that make sense? There's a really good book called Mine by, I think Jean Donaldson wrote that book. I'm not sure where mine is. Anyway, it's just Mine, and I think it's a pink book, and it's all about resource guarding. And I know they talk about resource guarding humans, so that might be a good thing to check out. I know you can get it from Amazon as well, but that's basically like managing the environment and then changing your dog's emotional response to be like, I don't like it when people approach, to like, I love it when people approach because I get really yummy treats, is like the really quick answer. Okay, so I'm going to go for 9 minutes, and then we will have another drawing, and then I actually have to leave at 7:30. So if you didn't get your question answered, feel free to email me, and I will email you back as soon as you can. Or you can put it on the Zach George 30-day perfect pup Facebook. I usually try to get on once a day and answer questions, so you could put it on there as well. Nicole, Pupford has a socialization checklist that I sent a friend. Yes, I have a socialization checklist that I give to all of my puppy clients. And I tell people, like, you don't have to do everything on this list, but just try, and it just is suggestions. So if you know that your dog's going to be exposed to bikes, if you're big on bike riding, get your puppy used to bikes. I always, like, when I get my kayaks out at the beginning of the summer, I have them on the lawn so I can like squirt them out and clean them up. And then I'll put treats in them, let my dogs get in it, get the treats, get used to sitting in there before we even go on the water. So if it's things that you know that your dog's going to be exposed to, then it would be great to socialize to that. Let's see. Shireen, walking great today, and another person has her dog, appeared to be working on training, and she motioned me to pass as her dog was in a sit stay, so we did. Which is awesome, because we do that too. If we're out working, I might have my client work on something, and I'll tell somebody, just walk by. Her dog was 3 times larger than mine and never stopped barking at my dog. Let's see. So if your dog does get scared of that, and pulling to get away, definitely let him move away. And I mean, chances are that this person had a reactive dog and was trying to work on it. And if the dog starts barking at like my dogs can bark at him and they're just going to be like, yeah, whatever. But they work with me a lot with other dogs, so they're used to it. But if you have a dog that's not used to that, or if it's a really big dog that's scary, if your dog's pulling to get away, it is totally fine to advocate for your dog. What you don't want to do is be like, oh, it's fine, here, just come say hi, and think that it's socialization, because you don't want to put your dog in a situation where we're forcing them to interact with something that is scary. That would be like telling me to pet a mouse and saying, it's just a mouse. It's not going to hurt you. It's fine. I'd be like, nope, I'm good. I do not want to touch that thing. And I would be running the other way too. So, yes, if your dog is scared, if your dog's small, pick them up, move them away. That is totally fine. Um, um, yeah, and it sounds like you did the right thing, like just saying, let's go, and moving away. Let's see. Okay, Gil, he's also recently had issues with people. When people come over, he gets really protective. He is also very protective over my father. He will bark and nip at my mother when she gets close to my father. He has done puppy class. Um, yeah, so, one of my dogs will resource guard me, but not around people, around other dogs. So if I have a board and train and I'm on the couch with Jade, if if one of the other dogs comes near the couch, then she might growl at him, and um, I usually will just ask her to get off, and then invite her back up. But we have to do what I do with her is I have treats, and if another dog approaches, as long as she's calm, I reward her, so that again, when when a stranger gets close, or even like if your mom gets close to your dad, good things happen, and you can toss treats or give treats. You can also have your mom toss treats to your dog, so that the treats coming from your mom. So that book that I mentioned would be really good for you as well. And like resource guarding, it's a little more involved than, like I said, what I can explain here. But I would also check out the Pupford Library, because I would be surprised if they don't have a course on resource guarding. And I think their courses are like $19 or $20, and it'll go through everything to do. Um, so look that up. I will look it up as well, and if they don't have a course, I'll see if they can do a course. So, because that would be good. But that's kind of something that you need to work on with a trainer, or a behavior consultant with resource guarding. So, okay, so I'm gonna answer Aaron's question, and then I will do our second drawing. So Aaron, we recently got two puppies. They were getting along great, but recently one has gotten possessive and aggressive toward the other one when they're with me or one of the kids. So are these siblings? Well, actually, even if they're not siblings, if you get two dogs about the same age, um, it's called littermate syndrome, and there's debate as to whether it's an actual as to whether that's an actual like syndrome. But what can happen is the dogs kind of bond. Um, they can either bond with each other so much that then when they're separated, they have separation anxiety, and then they don't listen to the humans around them, or they start competing with each other, and they can get aggressive towards each other. So the first thing that I always tell people is, if you have litter mates or two puppies of the same behavior, or of this around the same age, do a lot of stuff separate. So like separate training sessions, separate walks. You can do some together, but for as much as you do together, you have to do them separate. So feed them separately, um, take them on separate walks, separate outings, separate training sessions, so that each dog will like bond with you, um, and learn to listen to you. And then a lot of it is controlling your environment. Um, and like I know in what situations Jade is gonna resource guard. Um, And so I just try to kind of control that. And so, like, if we're on the couch and another dog starts to approach, I will redirect that dog and give that dog something else to do. Or I will redirect Jade and reward her for being calm when another dog comes close, if that makes sense. So that kind of goes along with resource guarding, but it's a little more involved when you've got two puppies of the same age. Um, so yeah, the first thing I would do is for that, you're probably going to have to work again with a trainer or behavior consultant. There's two sources. I'm going to put, there's, these are two organizations. And if you go to these sites, you can put in your zip code. Okay, so they're not the litter mates, but they're the same age. So that's kind of the same. Yeah. But for that, I would work with a behavior consultant. So I would go to CCPDT or IAABC. If you just like type those in, the organization will come up, and you can put in your zip code and find people that are certified in your area that could come and work with you, because that's going to be a little bit more involved too, where you have puppies of the same age. But yes, to start with, I would work with them separately. And even though I have 3 dogs and I'm soon to have 4, um, I'm going to be fostering an older dog. Um, but I spend time with each of my dogs separately. And when I go somewhere, Jade goes with me a lot because she's a service dog in training. However, there are times when I leave her home and I might take Willie or I might take Maddie. And so they all have one-on-one time with me. We'll still like do our hikes where we all go, but then they all get one-on-one time with me. And I find that that really helps because then they listen better when we're home. So and yeah, if they're competing with each other, then I would start to do some stuff with them separately. Okay, let's do our second drawing, and then I think next week we can start at 6, so it'll be 6 Mountain Time. And like I said, if I didn't answer your question, feel free to email me or age gap. I like 2 years. That's just my personal opinion. I like to do 2 years. And I also like to do, well, like right now I have 2 females and a male. I have had 3 females before, but I kind of like to have different, if you're going to get puppies, which I don't ever recommend getting 2 puppies at the same time, but try to get different sex. So like male, female, because you're more likely to have issues with same sex. So, yeah, I like 2 years. Okay. Okay, let me mix these up again. And our second winner is Michelle Creel from Massachusetts. So Michelle, you just want a bag of treats, and you can pick whichever flavor you want. You can have the shrimp, sweet potato. They have 6 now: chicken, beef liver, rabbit, shrimp, salmon. Oh, it's like a quiz. I think there's 5 or 6, but yes, you can let them know. Okay, I will put you down for shrimp. So you're going to do the same thing where you email hello@pupford.com, and I will email them as well so they know you won. And interestingly, a lot of people don't know not to get 2 puppies because they think, oh, let's get 2. They can keep each other company. They can play. And if you're not in the dog world all the time, like the average person isn't going to know not to get two puppies. I mean, I know a lot of people that do it. I have a friend that adopted two brothers as puppies, and that went fine. I mean, both of his dogs are like 12 or 13 now, but he did spend a ton of time with his dogs and did a lot of training. So yeah, people don't know. So we're not faulting you at all, but just kind of letting you know, yeah, it can be an issue, and you might have to do a little bit more work. So okay, thanks for joining, you guys, and thanks for all your really great questions. And I will see you guys next Tuesday night.